Hello friends, how are you today? This is Kathy from the Daily Marker. I just want to tell you that Lydia and I, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we're doing a color and connect on Zoom and answering questions, and you can color while you listen. Sign-ups are on my blog, but today I want to show you how I painted certain flowers on this card. It took a very long time, so I just picked a few to share with you. So this is the card, and I decided not to put a sentiment on it. I just liked it blank, and it's nice to have some blank cards on hand. So today I'm using some Karin markers, only Karin markers, and I'm just putting a wash of color on. So I've edited this out where you just see me working on the petal, not dipping in the water and drying on my rag on the left. And I'm just putting a wash of color. It doesn't matter what color you're using, nothing. Now I have this blue marker. I'm scribbling it in the cup, and I'm going to add water because these are very vibrant colors, and I just wanted a wash. I want to be able to distinguish what's a petal, what's a leaf, where the flowers are. So this is like a really fast and quick process when you're just doing this. It's also kind of a lazy way to watercolor because you have that first layer of color and then you just come in with the fun color once this is dry. So if you're the kind of person who just gets a wash of all one color on your cards, this might be a good technique for you. Now I'm ready to bring in some color. This is all dry. I've wet like this U-shaped area on these petals, and then I put the marker directly on the paper, and then once I wash that and spread it with a little bit of water, I go back with the marker and add just a little bit on the tip of the petal, just like I'm doing there. Now of course, if that area is too wet, you can't add any more, so go work on the next petal, and then it might dry a little bit and you can add a little bit more intense color after you do the next petal. So you can see where I put that line of color like on the inside of the U, and then I wet it with my brush to blend it a little bit, and then I go back and add a little bit more right in that nook and cranny. So again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just wetting the U shape on that petal. There's little dot lines on this petal, so I'm kind of using that as my point of reference. I've stamped these with Gina K Designs, her Warm Glow Amalgam ink. It's what I use pretty much for everything. You can use that for coloring with markers, colored pencils, watercolor, you name it. I like having simple supplies, one paper for Copic markers, one for watercolor, and one ink for everything. It just keeps it really simple. It's less decision making, and then I can just do what I enjoy, which is color or paint. So I'm just moving along my card with these petals. I'm doing the exact same thing. I'll probably speed this up in a minute. But the most important thing is you want to remove some of that color from your brush, and then you just have your damp brush with no paint on it just to blend it out, which I'm doing right here. And that way you get that gradient look on each petal. And that's what makes your coloring stand out. Also using, what do I want to say, like contrasting colors. Now you can see like where I'm now, I have a green leaf. And that could be a flower petal, but I decided to make it a green leaf just for like a little bit more green. Green can add so much to a project. So I just find this so relaxing and rewarding. I took a little time stamping this, and there I'm adding some more marker on that. Now I did this exact same technique on the bright blue flowers, and it was just kind of involved. I didn't have my camera on. I'm, in the middle of my second 30-day coloring challenge, because I did 2 coloring challenges back to back, because it's just bringing us all some joy. I can just feel the stress leave when I'm coloring or painting, and we all need that right now. So, talking about y'all, I hope you guys are doing well, keeping your sanity, and doing some coloring. And of course, healthy. Now see, here I'm going back and I added a little bit more color at the very end. So I have a light blue wash on this daisy, and I'm wet the petal, and then I'm watching myself. I'm trying to think, finding the word, sorry. So I'm wetting the petal here, and then I'm going to put the marker on the paper, let the marker pull, and then I'm just smoothing that out. I'm being very careful. I want to leave some of that underpinning color or some of that blue. So you can also just scribble. This is a water media mat. You can just scribble on your mat and pick up a little more color if you need a little bit more to stretch it out. But I want to kind of keep that. You almost get like a tie-dye look when you just let the water do its own thing. And you have to play with the water. You don't want too much water, or else you won't be able to do this. And if it's not enough water, it won't work either. So sometimes I dab a little bit off my brush because I feel like I have too much water. You kind of want like a mayonnaise, like if you're putting peanut butter or mayonnaise on a piece of bread. So it's a little boring. I'm going to be doing this on all the petals, so I've edited this out where you don't see me dipping in my water on my rag, and then you can just kind of watch it unfold. So after a few minutes, I'm just going to speed it up, and you can just watch that happen. Sometimes I go back in with a colored pencil and highlight some darker areas, but I don't think I did this on this purple flower. I did it just in the little nooks and crannies on the blue. I think it's a rose. It doesn't matter what flower it is. You can kind of see those deep, dark nooks and crannies. And that is really what makes your coloring pop. I get such joy when I look at under the hashtag the Daily Marker 30 Day. And I love that there's so many different levels of coloring, and I'm so inspired when I look. I know some people kind of play it safe and are afraid to use a really dark color on those nooks and crannies. Some of you might just add a few shades up, and you're not going to get that contrast. So if that's you, I suggest maybe stamping a flower twice and watercoloring it, and then adding black or a really dark purple or dark navy or dark brown in those nooks and crannies, and then do what you would normally do and see if you like the difference or not. You might not. What else? There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, now when I stamped this with Gina's ink, I have a little cube of her black amalgam ink, and I just took the corner of the cube to stamp the center of the flower that I'm working on. That way it was already kind of darkened, and I didn't have to like look for all the little dotty things. But you could just like do the whole thing dark brown and call it a day. There was something else. Oh, well, I'll think of it. So I did a little masking when I stamped this. I love those eucalyptus type branches on here, and I really wanted a lot of them. So it was worth taking a little time masking some of these flowers off and doing that. And I took a little bit more time painting those, and you'll see how I do just a few of them to show you, because it's just really fun. But leaving some white makes it a lot less work in the end. So now, since I'm doing the exact same thing, I'll just talk about the Color and Connect. Lydia and I do that every Tuesday. We were switching the times up to try and get in different time zones and stuff, and then it just became too much work for me to change the graphic, to post about it, to email with the Zoom codes and everything. So we have a set time. It's every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Wait, it's on the graphic. I think it's, let me see. Oh, it's 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. Now, I'll talk about that in a second. Now notice that I alternated the petals so that the colors wouldn't run together. And then I took another purple of the marker, another shade, and I'm just alternating. I'm not saying, oh, this one should be darker, this one should be lighter. And it ends up looking good in the end because I have some lighter, some color variations in the petals, but you don't need to analyze, oh, well, she painted the wrong ones darker or whatever. There's a light area and a dark area, and that's all that matters in my book. Like, who needs to stress about shadows and lighting and stuff? Just creating a darker area and a lighter area. It's pleasing to the eye. Now I have some of these, I've got my brush on these eucalyptus petals here, and there's some like little dot lines. You can see them. That's one of the reasons why I love this ink, because I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just doing a line of color. I'm picking the color up from my craft, that matte, the medium matte, and then I'm taking the color off my brush and then pulling the color down a little bit. That way I get like the gradient color. This is exactly what I've been doing on all of the petals. But I could have taken the easy route and just done one whole leaf, which would have looked cool. But I just thought I had the time, and I thought it would be fun to do each little section. So then there's like a little division when this dries, which gives it a little bit of interest. And then when everything's dry, I take a sepia Copic marker and just draw a few little lines in brown, just for a little variation, little interest. I don't overthink it. I don't worry about where it is. I just don't do it on the entire thing. I'm taking my brush and just pulling that pink down to color parts of the stem. And then there you can see it. If you look close in the eucalyptus, the little bit of brown in the nooks and crannies, the lighter areas on that daisy. So that's it. It was just really fun and relaxing to color. I hope you got some tips. Come to the Color and Connect, sign up. You can access that on my blog every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Ask questions, color, and just listen. And, you know, we want to be here for you and just kind of get you out of your head during this crazy time. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.